My guest today on Dolphin Tales, recurring guest, the director of strength and conditioning. He is Andrew Bates, and this is a great, if you're watching this on video, you see in the background a little bit the new wall. That's part of the extension in there. Last time we talked, that was still kind of dirt. It was getting moved around, right? The build out of the weight room was still more concept than reality. And since then, you all have been able to apply that. So I want to start with that. First of all, thanks for joining me here today on the podcast. Glad that you were able to take the time to join me.
Thanks, Scott. Always fun to get a moment to speak with you about how JU is continuing to grow and expand and develop and build.
So this kind of build out for people that don't remember the way the Fieldhouse was, it kind of got reconfigured a little bit. You all stretched from where the weight room was into where the old football locker room was a little bit, and we're able to expand some of that space. How have you been able to utilize that? How has that been beneficial for you all so far since you've had it now for a couple of months?
Well, the space alone has been tremendous. We were always kind of confined to a small area, which would make our group size, although we didn't restrict our group size, it would just be packed in here at times, and it would affect how we would format our workouts. So now we can kind of have free reign to program as we see fit as coaches to do what's best for our athletes instead of what we would maybe have had to do in the past to make it flow the right way. So it's been tremendous. It's almost double in size, roughly 2,000 square foot addition, with a big turf area, about a 10 by 20 turf area that I'm actually sitting on right now, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, a little extra space. And you brought it up. Obviously, this year, space is of a priority. The more space you can have, the better. And how has that helped in maybe not having to shrink those size of the groups as well in order to maintain social distancing during workouts?
But we've been fortunate with the way our square footage came back with the assessments. We had a capacity that served most of our teams in full. We had a limit to 24 athletes in here. We could give or take because we had a bigger range, but we thought 24 was a safe number, and we had enough space to do that, make it reasonable throughout the day. I've talked to some other schools in our conference and around the country, and I know they've had some tougher restrictions to deal with. So I think we're very fortunate, all things considered, to have gotten what we got and done what we've done with our opportunity.
No doubt. And it's awesome. I mean, I know you've been working hard a long time in that space, and to see some growth there is always an exciting and well-deserved thing. And it'll help our student athletes out. I mean, you can only imagine the bigger, the newer, the better, right?
The opportunity for growth and development for them is huge. And also to be able to attract maybe a higher caliber student athlete in the recruiting process, because there was a time a few years into my career here at JU that coaches would bring recruits to the weight room, and they would kind of make this an afterthought for their visits. But now it's kind of a focal point, and it's exciting. And when kids walk in, they're like, "Oh, this is it. This is a weight room," and they're excited about it. So that's been pleasant too.
That's awesome. Last time we talked, way back at the beginning of shutdown, you were one of the first guests on this, the original version of this podcast. And we talked about how you were trying to do your job basically remotely, helping student athletes while they weren't on campus to stay fit, to stay in shape, to be ready for the eventual return to competition and everything like that. We have returned to competition now. Fast forward several months. Have things, I guess I'll start with this. Where did you see throughout the course of the spring and through the summer that you were able to make some inroads potentially with some of those student athletes while they were away? Did things stay kind of the same? Did you tweak things throughout the course of the time?
Well, we had to have kind of an earlier off period for those teams that came off their season earlier than they normally would. So we had to have our extended summer programs and make sure that we progressed it well so the athletes didn't get burned out or overtrained during that time. Understanding though that we had a bigger window to prepare, and as long as everyone stayed healthy and stayed on it, they would be coming back in great shape. That bigger window though also gives you some nerves about if they're going to be able to stay on point that long without somebody helping guide them throughout the process. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the feedback from my other coaches here and from my teams is we came back in very good shape. I think for my women's lacrosse team, especially, they PR'd across the board. I think we had 12 girls hit a personal record on all their testing, in their conditioning testing too, which was kind of a worrisome deal. But I think we were pretty healthy coming in to the fall off the summer as a whole. We'll see after all of our athletes arrive on this break, because this break was similar with some of the areas and regions our athletes come from that are still shut down and under some sort of lockdown. So I thought we did a very good job coming in from summer and through the fall. And now I don't doubt that we'll have another tremendous job as we prepare to be closer to competition.
So, what has it looked like for those who are unaware? The break started back at Thanksgiving. I mean, here we are now in 2021, and students, unless you're on the basketball team, have been pretty much gone since the Thanksgiving break started. So that it's almost like the second extended break that everybody has dealt with in this calendar year, if you will. How did you, as a staff, approach not losing all those positive gains that you made throughout the fall?
I think in some regards, it actually helped our student athletes kind of close the chapter on the academic semester and have maybe an extra week or two to actually focus on their program, their skill development, or just their rest and recovery to refresh and have a good, 6-week training period if they had needed some time off after the semester. Because typically we're giving them a 4 or 5 week take home program for the break. This year it was more like a 7 to 8 week, depending on what their break looked like. So, barring any complications that they might have had on their own, I feel like some of them had a benefit from having that extended gap, because typically we come back and we do a reading week and then we do a finals week, and that's really not super heavy in training anyhow. So who knows? It could have been an opportunity for some. I don't think it's going to be a barrier though to any of them.
What did the fall look like? Because there was no competition. So literally everyone was in a pseudo off season, if you will, throughout the course of the fall, whether those be fall sports, spring sports, even I guess winter would have been ramping up. But how did
Mhm.
you all handle dealing with the fall athletes while they were practicing but not competing?
We always try to keep it positive and energized in our environment here, but we tried to make competition opportunities throughout the year. I think many sports had days where they would go out and break up into different teams and have inter squad type of challenges and competitions, not maybe related to their sport, but also related to their sport as their practice schedule led into there. But just trying to keep it, cheer them on and keep them energized and get involved when we could, and try to keep the attitude focused on the team and getting better and having fun and continuing to build for the opportunity whenever that opportunity comes up. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for anybody involved, but I think we all did a good job of making it the best it could be.
What percentage of your job would you describe as cheerleader?
Uh, more than I'd like to admit, I think. Trying to find ways to motivate all the different athletes with their different backgrounds and attitudes and what their goals are. It's always challenging, but it's fun because that's the way you get to know them the best, and then you can build a more of a special relationship with each one of them, and ultimately that leads to the success that you're looking for.
That's a fascinating deal because obviously you're trained in this stuff. You come up in it, and then you learn the most effective ways to work out, right? And then it's like, hey, let's apply these to teams. But there's more nuance than that. There's individuals on each team that handle things differently based off of their personalities and, as you said, backgrounds and things like that. How much time do you think that it usually takes on average to kind of feel out an individual team on a given year and understand the personalities and get work on getting the most out of them?
A lot of that will depend on what type of attitude the team's already carrying. So when someone new might join the team, they might be able to open up quickly or they might be shy. I've had up to a year or so before I feel like I actually had a good handle or grasp on maybe a tough-minded athlete, or trying to find ways to help motivate them, because they're not all coming here to train in the weight room. When they come out of high school, they're most of them, and some of them do come in with a really high weight room IQ, and they want and understand how this can help their process. But some of them just want to play their sport. and trying to help them understand how this can translate to what they're doing as a way to help get their buy-in a little bit faster and hopefully get them on track to help contribute to the success of the team and of their own, career.
And something I guess I took for granted playing high school sports is like we had a pretty extensive weight room. We had a pretty decent one, but I'm sure a lot of these people are coming from areas that don't have a ton to work with when it comes to that, right? And then they come to college, and all of a sudden, for maybe the first time ever, they're stepping into a situation where they have a significant or really structured weight room environment.
Yeah, you see tremendous change in some of those athletes too that come in and have never potentially grabbed a barbell or been in that environment because it just was not emphasis of their program they were at before, or it wasn't an option for whatever the facilities they had before. And to hear them and see them change and develop over their first few weeks to the first semester to the half the year point, and then to see them come full circle and then start talking to them then about their freshman year when they're sophomores and hear what they say about their experience is also it's pretty entertaining, but it's great because typically it's always the right direction that you want to see, and they're achieving goals and having success, and that's really why we do what we do here.
That's fantastic. Let's get into basketball a little bit here. That is a sport that is currently playing, and it's exciting because it's the first sport that really got off the ground at JU in this new 2020 2021 year. So, when it came to all of the restrictions, the changes, and things like that, and getting these men and women ready to go for the season, did you notice differences in how things went? The season starting later, or were you able to? Did you all adjust anything in order to cover for that?
Well, as I spoke a little bit earlier about trying to get an atmosphere of competition, and for me too, this is the first year that I'm involved in basketball uh, more exclusively than I had been in the past. Now that football's not here any longer, so being able to be involved with their practices and their day to day and their shoot arounds and every aspect of what they're doing, I think has helped me guide them a little bit further. And not that we weren't doing a great job the past years, but any more control you can have on the situations and input and impact you can have on the athletes is going to help them, further increase their potential. The restrictions for us, I think everybody attacked it with a good mentality. The kids came in, or the guys came in every day, understanding that we have restrictions and we have to do certain things. And I just let them know, like, if you guys want to do what you came here to do, we have to do this other stuff. And part of that's just building a tough-minded group of guys that'll go through what they have to go through to get the results they want to get. And we did a tremendous job with our numbers. We took before and after pictures this year to help show them their progress as they've changed, and some of those turned out very tremendous. And it also excites them. It's cool when you can show them in real time what they're actually doing to themselves. But then you can also go back and say, imagine if you did this, this, and this along with all the work we put in. And then, once you can open up that door, that's something that I didn't have when I was an athlete. I had a great coach my last 2 years that kind of showed me what training can do to your on-field performance. But I often, think about what could have happened if I had that from my freshman year on. And that's a motivator for me to help continually provide the opportunity for the athletes and try to get to them as quick as I can so they can have those years of good memories and enjoyment and success.
And who doesn't want to look better, right? I mean, for the
Of
guys, who
course.
doesn't want to look better with a shirt off, right?
Oh
It's
yeah.
that type of thing.
And those tough days too, they can think back to little things like that. When there's days that come that you don't want to get up and do it, and it's just repetitive, and those are some things that can help continue to keep you on track.
You brought it up a moment ago, your ability due to circumstances to just be more hands-on with the basketball programs this year, and especially with the men's program, you've been traveling with the team this season. What advantage does that provide with you being on the road to try and help these guys be that much more ready to attack a game day?
Well, I'm trying to help as much as I can in as many ways as they want me to help them out, as many ways as I can, really. The managers and the GAs, they do a really good job of handling all the business of travel and helping me with pregame nutrition, and we've been trying to increase that as we go. Anything I need from them that I've asked for or requested for has been provided, and I think they do a real good job with that. Being able to help interject nutritionally with the guys, to me, is one of the biggest things. And I'll always continue to try to do that with them, because the way that they take care of their bodies outside of basketball and outside of training is going to be the difference for them having the success that they've set out to have. And now that I get to get a firsthand view on that, I get to see day to day what they're doing. And although I don't change everything, because you have to enjoy yourself also, I just give them little, bits of knowledge on how this could potentially change you for the better if you did this, and sacrificing versus just, having a pleasurable experience with the food you're eating.
It's funny because this year with some of the limitations in where people can go and how behavior is supposed to be on the road, right? I mean, maybe just limiting some of those little gas station trips next to the hotel on the night before the game to grab some candy or whatnot, and switching that out for whatever snacks that you all as a staff can provide. I mean, that's got to help a little bit.
Yeah, or just a little jab about maybe this would have been a better decision, and show them something that they could have eaten instead.
I like that.
Also training too, because like, for
Mm.
instance, we had Kevy on, who got injured early on in our practice, and I was able to get all the hotel workouts in with him when we're on the road, as we couldn't participate. So trying to help ramp his return to play up, and also trying to get the potential redshirt guys and lower minute guys a little bit extra training on the road has been easier to distribute.
Hey, whatever you did with Kevion, keep that up, because he is come alive here as of late. A huge weekend to open up conference play, and he looked great in the process too. Is that reward? How rewarding is that from your perspective when you see a guy you've worked with that close and to come back and look strong and look fit and look ready to go, and to be able to make an impact like that?
Oh, it's great, especially with Kevion, because we spent the entire last year together
Yeah.
as his redshirt transfer year. So the day that he went down, you never want to see anybody go down, but he was like the worst one, or the last one, with all that year of having to sit. I had to do the same thing when I played, when I went from JUCO on, and it was hard to see it. The fact that he was able to fight and put the work in to get back, though, like you said, is tremendously rewarding. And then to see him go off for 32 points the other night and make that final 3-pointer to seal the deal on the road versus Kennesaw was a big smile. Very proud of him and the team for making that happen.
Let's fast forward now to what is, or maybe not fast forward. We don't really need to move time any faster, but let's take a look ahead as to what is this upcoming semester and what the prospects look like for spring sports. It's unique again in the fact that it's not just spring sports. It's the fall sports playing in the spring sports on top of basketball, on top of the regular spring sports. Time management wise, how does that impact you all?
We've been working hard. I know John, our assistant, has been working hard on getting our schedule organized. And from our end, in strength and conditioning, I think we have a pretty good grasp on how we're going to manage the load and balance it out. The additional space we have in here helps. We have a weight room upgrade that went on at baseball over the summer also.
That's
So
right.
we have that additional room. And then we have another facility on its way, in the coming year or so, that's going to also increase with that. But right now, I feel like the competitions is going to change the time that they're in here. We're going to try to keep them in here as long as we can, but the ways that the schedules play out can affect the amount of time we actually can have them training in here. We're just really hoping, I mean, I know I am, and my staff is, that they had a really good holiday training period, so we don't see any rise in injuries or complications. Plus, we have kids that were affected by COVID, and they have their clearance, and we make sure that all of our bases are covered when we have a return to play athlete. But you still never know how they're going to respond, and they're going to have to play catch up depending on the time they got cleared versus the time they may have gotten sick. And then who knows what other challenges are going to arise. But I feel like we're ready here to do the best job to get our athletes prepared to compete and win. And it's going to be like I think there's an event going on every day on campus for, I don't even know the number of days once they begin, but it's going to be a lot of people doing a lot of things above and beyond to make it a success. But I know that we will.
Yeah, bring your sleeping bag. In other words, it feels like. No doubt, it'll be an exciting spring, a busy spring, but just to be able to see all of these athletes that have waited and waited and waited to get back into the spirit of competition, getting that opportunity again will be entirely worth it. And hopefully they'll be ready to go. Hopefully they had a better off season or a better winter break than I had when it came to staying fit and staying on track, because
It was tough for everybody. That last 2 weeks really put a hurting on me. I know that.
too much good
But
food and too much stuff to sit around and look at, right?
oh yeah, it's tough, especially on the road with basketball now. That's another thing is, I'm eating what they're eating, and I'm trying to get a feel for that. And I put on a little bit of weight, so I don't know how these guys lose weight when they do. They have plenty of opportunities. I found them at least.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, hopefully everything continues off on a good note. And as some of our spring sports start, spring/fall sports start returning to campus here this week, and you all get to
Yes.
start working with them again. That's
We had
exciting.
men's lacrosse was in here yesterday for their first workout after they came back with their testing. So that was good to have a little bit of energy back in here. I think there'll be a different mindset now that it's competition time, and having that
Yeah.
across the whole campus will be, I guess it'll be pretty exciting. It'll just be a lot of stuff for the people who are working behind the scenes.
Well, to make a final workout analogy here, right? Like you always, when you know it's that last rep or that last sprint or whatever, you always put a little bit extra into it, right? I mean, throughout the course of the fall, everybody was doing that sort of like pace yourself type move. Well, here we are. We're in it now. It's that last rep, that last push to get ready for the season. So hopefully, all these sports are ready to put in the last bit of what is necessary to get it done.
And with teams getting shut down, all over the country, you never know if this is going to be your last lift, last practice, or last game of the year, of the next 2 weeks. So that makes it all the more important to raise that level of awareness and put that effort out there.
No doubt. And anybody that doesn't go in with the expectation of this can disappear in the snap of a fingers at this point, I don't know what to tell you. You gotta open up your eyes a little bit there. But hopefully that is not something we have to worry about. We'll keep our fingers crossed, and we'll keep doing everything that we need to ensure it works on our end as best as possible. Andrew Bates, he is the strength man, the head of strength and conditioning at Jacksonville University, and appreciate you joining me here today on Dolphin Tales.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me. I hope your semester goes as good as ours will, because I know we're going to have a great one. Thank you.